Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
So today we've got this stack of documents in front of us, lots of material on recent motorcycle models.
Yeah, it's quite a mix. We've got reviews, spec sheets, covering a whole range of bikes.
Exactly. High-performance sport tours, naked bikes, cruisers. It's all in here.
And the plan really is to wade through all this detail.
Right. Cut through the noise, figure out the key differences, what makes each of these bikes tick.
And, see what stands out for someone maybe looking for their next ride. What's the actual personality of these machines based on what the sources are telling us?
Okay, sounds like a plan. Where should we start? Maybe with the most detailed one? The Ducati Multistrada V4 RS.
Yeah, let's do that. The review we have paints quite a picture. High-end, exclusive.
Calls it a super bike for the discerning sport touring rider. I liked that line.
Me too. And there's that bit about it being a bike no one really needs.
Which honestly just makes it sound even more intriguing, doesn't it?
It definitely does. And the core of it, the really defining thing, is that engine heritage.
Absolutely. It's derived from the Panigale V4S Superbike engine.
Which is serious business. We're talking 1103 cc.
And the numbers are, well, pretty staggering. 180 horsepower claimed at 12,250 RPM.
And 87 pound-feet of torque at 9,500 RPM. That's a lot of power, and it makes it way up in the rep range.
Yeah, compared to the standard Multistrada V4S, it's not just more power, it's different power. Higher revving.
Plus, the sources mention significantly shorter gearing. That's going to make it feel quick.
Very quick. But it's not just about the engine, is it? They focused heavily on weight.
Oh yeah, big time. Ducati claims it's over 15 pounds lighter than the V4S.
15 pounds? How'd they manage that on an already pretty advanced bike?
Well, the sources point to a few key things. Marchesini forged aluminum wheels, that's a claimed 6 pounds saved right there.
Okay, wheels make a big difference to handling.
Definitely. Then there's a titanium subframe, another 5.5 pounds gone, apparently.
Titanium, wow. That's exotic stuff.
It is. And even the battery is smaller, a lead-acid one, saving another 3 pounds or so. Plus, carbon fiber everywhere, screen intakes, front fender, handguards.
So it all adds up. What's the claimed wet weight then?
Comes in at 496 pounds, claimed.
Just under 500 pounds. For a bike that looks like a big adventure tour, that's really impressive.
It is. And the reviewer says you feel it immediately. Much more agile, turns way quicker than the standard V4S.
So it feels smaller than it looks when you're riding it hard.
That's the idea,
Yeah.
blending that superbike agility with the Multistrada's sort of stance and capability.
And what about the suspension holding all this up?
Top shelf Öhlins.
Yeah.
Smart EC 2.0 electronic suspension.
The event-based stuff
No.
adjusts itself.
Exactly. 48 millimeter fork, TTX 56 shock at the back. And they've updated the calibration specifically for this RS model compared to the Pikes Peak version it's sort of evolved from.
Okay. And you still get the usual preload settings for rider, luggage, passenger.
Yep. Single rider, rider with luggage, two up with luggage,
Mm.
all that. But you also get separate stiffness settings from hardest to softest.
Independent of the riding modes.
Yeah, which allows for some really fine-grained tuning. Though the reviewer did mention the extremes, like hardest were pretty much unrideable on the street.
Huh. Okay. Good to know. And tech. All the usual rider aids.
Oh, yes. Bosch 6-axis IMU, so you get cornering ADS, traction control, wheelie control,
Oh.
the works.
But interestingly, they kept some touring features too.
Yeah, adaptive cruise control and blind spot detection are still on there, even on this super sporty version.
That kind of speaks to its intended dual nature, I guess. Performance and distance capability, plus a nice TFT display.
Yep, 6.5-inch TFT, full-color navigation built in, all the bells and whistles.
But there's one thing that sounds maybe a bit less refined, the clutch.
Ah, the dry clutch, yes. It's an STM EVO SBK unit straight from racing.
Dry clutches sound very mechanical and loud.
Extremely loud, according to the review. Described as excellent for the racetrack, but, quote, near pointless for the street.
Why pointless? Just the noise.
Primarily the noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Creates a greatly increased racket at idle.
Yeah.
Apparently, it almost drowns out the V4 engine sound itself.
Wow, that's a choice. Very raw.
Very raw. Definitely adds character, but maybe not the character everyone wants on their expensive sport tour.
Speaking of expensive, the price.
Brace yourself. $37,995.
Oof. Okay, so nearly $40,000. That firmly places it at the very top end.
Absolutely. It's the extreme edge of this sport touring or sport GT segment, which makes it a good starting point to see how others approach this blend of sport and touring.
Right, let's bring in some comparisons from the other sources. How about the Suzuki GSX-S 1000 GT Plus Ralphade? That also uses a sport bike engine, right?
It does. It's based on the GSX R1000 engine, a legendary inline-4. But Suzuki's approach here seems a bit different. The source material talks about refining it for a broader, smoother torque. Things like specific cam profiles, combustion chamber design. It's about making the power really usable on the street and for touring, not just chasing peak numbers like the Ducati.
So still fast, but maybe more accessible power.
That seems to be the goal. And they back it up with a pretty comprehensive tech package. Suzuki calls it SIRS.
What's included in SIRS?
You get their drive mode selector SDMS with 3 modes affecting throttle response, a 5-mode traction control system.
Okay, standard stuff these days.
Yep, plus the bidirectional quick shifter, which is great. Up and down shifts without the clutch.
Very handy for both sporty riding and just cruising.
Exactly. And has cruise control. Works from like 18 miler up to 110 miler as long as you're in second gear or higher.
Useful range. Any other tech bits?
Suzuki Easy Start system and low RPM assist helps prevent stalling. Makes it easier in traffic. Little convenience things.
And what about comfort? The GT designation implies touring.
For sure. The riding position is more upright than a pure sport bike. Vibration-absorbing rubber on the foot pegs. Comfy seats for rider and passenger, apparently.
Windscreen options.
Yeah, standard one and an optional taller touring screen. And crucially for the GT Plus model, it comes with integrated side cases.
Ah, proper luggage. How big?
About 25.7 liters each. They use the ignition key, quick release mechanism. Ready for the road.
Nice. And the dash, modern screen.
Yeah, a 6.5-inch full-color TFT, day-night modes, auto brightness. Plus, it connects to your phone via Suzuki's MySPN app.
So you get maps, music, contacts on the screen.
Exactly. Maps, phone, music, calendar. And there's a USB outlet to keep your phone charged. Pretty well equipped.
And the weight. How does it compare to the Ducati?
Claimed curb weight is 226 kilograms, which is about 498 pounds. That's without the side cases, though.
Right around that 500-pound mark, then. Very close to the Ducati, interestingly.
It is. Shows that different engineering paths can lead to similar numbers on the scale. Now, let's look at another big player, the Kawasaki Ninja 1000 SX.
Okay, the Ninja. Another inline-4, right? A bit over 1,000 cc.
Yep, 243cc inline 4, and again, packed with electronics.
What's on the list for the Kawi?
Electronic cruise control, KTRC, which is Kawasaki's traction control, KBS, which is their cornering ABS system,
KBS, okay.
power modes, KCMF, that's Kawasaki cornering management function, helps manage chassis orientation through turns.
So lean angle aware systems?
Exactly. It also has a bidirectional quick shifter, KQS, and the IMU feeding data to all these systems. Very comprehensive.
Suspension? Adjustable.
Yes. 41mm inverted forks up front, horizontal backlink rear shock, both adjustable for compression, rebound, and preload. Good stuff.
And the weight on the Ninja 1000 SX.
A bit heavier than the other two. Around 514 to 516 pounds curb weight, depending on the specific version. So slightly more heft.
Okay, still in the ballpark, though.
No.
But here's where things get really interesting, looking at the sources. The price difference.
Huge difference. We said the Ducati was nearly $38,000.
Here, the Kawasaki Ninja 1000 SX ABS. The MSRP listed is $13,699.
Wow. 13.7 versus 38? That's... Yeah.
It really highlights the massive spread within this category. You can get a very capable, tech-laden sport tour for less than half, even less than a third, of the price of that ultra-premium Ducati.
Absolutely. It puts the Ducati's positioning into perspective. It's operating in a completely different market space.
So we've seen the high-end V4, the refined inline 4 from Suzuki, the value-packed inline 4 from Kawasaki. What about something smaller? Middleweight sport touring.
Good transition. Let's talk about the Yamaha Tracer 7.
Ah, the Tracer 7 uses Yamaha's CP2 engine, right? The parallel twin.
That's the one. 689cc parallel twin. Known for being really torque-rich, lots of character, punchy in the mid-range.
Yamaha calls it the ultimate everyday thrill ride.
Which kind of fits that engine's personality. And even though it's a middleweight, Yamaha hasn't skimped on the tech too much.
Oh, really? What does it get?
It has YCCT, that's Yamaha's electronic throttle, YRC riding modes to adjust the engine feel, switchable traction control.
Cruise control, too, on a middleweight.
Yep, cruise control is available. Works from third gear upwards, above about 25 mph, so usable on highways.
Nice. And the chassis bits.
Adjustable 41mm USD forks, upside-down forks, usually better for rigidity. And a monocross rear shock, adjustable for preload and rebound.
So decent suspension for the class.
Seems like it. Yamaha also mentions a revised chassis and a longer swing arm for better stability. An 18-liter fuel tank, which is a decent size.
And a TFT display.
Yep, a 5-inch TFT with smartphone connectivity and navigation capability. So you're getting features that were premium just a few years ago.
And the weight must be significantly lighter.
It is. Claimed wet weight is 203 kilograms. That's about 447.5 pounds.
Okay, nearly 50 pounds lighter than the Suzuki or Ducati, and maybe 70 pounds lighter than the Kawasaki.
Exactly. And that lightness, combined with the punchy twin engine, is really what defines its character. It's meant to be agile, accessible, fun for everyday riding.
So that gives us a good feel for the sport touring spectrum. Premium V4, refined inline fours, accessible parallel twin. But the sources cover even more ground, especially with Honda. They seem to have models in almost every category.
Honda's lineup in these documents is massive. It really shows their strategy of offering something for almost everyone. We can maybe group them by style. Let's start with the naked bikes, the Hornets.
Okay, Hornets. There are quite a few now, right? Starting at the top.
Right. The new CB1000 Hornet SP. Big inline 4, 1000cc, making around 155 horsepower.
SP.
Special parts. This one gets the fancy Öhlins rear shock and Brembo Stylema front brake calipers. Real high-performance hardware.
Ah, so the premium version. And tech.
Nice 5-inch TFT screen, 5 riding modes, HSTC, that's Honda's traction control, weighs about 467 pounds wet.
Okay, and there's a standard CB1000 Hornet, too.
Yep. Same engine, slightly less peak power, maybe 150 horsepower. Swaps the Öhlins and Brembos for still good Showa suspension and Nissan brakes.
But keeps the TFT and electronics?
Yes. Same screen, same riding modes with HSTC. Comes in just a tiny bit lighter, 465 pounds. These are Honda's contenders in the big, powerful naked bike class.
Gotcha. Then stepping down.
We hit the CB750 Hornet. And this is a totally different engine philosophy.
Parallel twin.
Yeah, 755cc parallel twin, but with a 270-degree crank. Gives it that V-twin kind of feel and sound, more careful throb than an inline 4.
Okay. Power figures?
Around 91 horsepower, 55 pound-feet of torque. But that torque peaks lower down, making it feel punchy and responsive without needing high revs.
And lighter too, I bet.
Significantly.
Yeah.
423 pounds wet. Still gets a 5-inch TFT, riding modes, switchable traction control, and the sources mention an A2 licensed version for Europe.
Makes sense. What's below the 750?
The CB500 Hornet. Uses Honda's well-known 471cc parallel twin. Makes about 47 horsepower, 32 pound-feet.
So firmly in the A2 license category. Beginner friendly.
Very much so. Lightweight at 414 pounds, easy to manage. And it still gets a 5-inch TFT screen.
Wow, TFTs really are everywhere now. Any other Hornets?
Well, not a Hornet by name, but fitting in the naked category is the CB650R.
Ah, the inline 4 middleweight, Neo Sports Cafe styling.
That's the one. 649cc, inline 4, makes about 94 horsepower, revs higher than the twins. Also gets a 5-inch TFT and HSTC traction control.
And this one has something unique mentioned in the source.
Yes, the E-clutch option.
E-clutch. What's that?
Allows clutchless operation, starting, stopping, shifting, all without using the clutch lever. But the lever is still there if you want to use it traditionally.
Huh. Interesting tech for a middleweight. Does it add weight?
A little bit. It's about 452 pounds without E-clutch, 456 with it. Also has an A2 version available, so it bridges the gap between the 500 twin and the bigger Hornets.
Okay, that's a lot of naked bikes from Honda. Let's switch gears entirely. What about cruisers? The Rebel line.
Right, the Revels. Totally different vibe. Let's start with the big ones, the CMX 1100 models.
These use a parallel twin too, right? Similar to the CB750.
Yes, the 1084cc parallel twin, also with that 270-degree crank for a torquey feel. Power is around 87 horsepower, but the key number is torque. 72 pound-feet, way down at 4,750 RPM.
Classic cruiser power delivery, strong pull from low revs.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, there are a few versions. The CMX 100T Rebel is the touring one.
T for touring? Makes sense. What does that add?
Rigid saddlebags and a large front, fairing with a screen for wind protection. Ready for longer rides. It's the heaviest, around 530 to 550 pounds, depending on transmission.
Ah, transmission options.
Yes, Honda offers their DCT dual-clutch transmission as an option on the 1100 Rebels. You can have it shift automatically or use buttons to shift manually. The sources mention updated DCT options.
Okay, so manual or DCT. What are the other 1100 versions?
There's the CMX 1100 SE Special Edition, maybe? It focuses on style. Things like chrome bar and mirrors, a diamond-stitched seat. Same engine, DCT option available, weighs a bit less, around 522 pounds.
And then the base CMS 1100 Rebel.
Yep, the standard model. Same engine, manual or DCT. Lighter again, around 498 to 520 pounds. All the 1100s get a new 5-inch TFT screen now, too, according to the specs.
Good upgrade. What about smaller Rebels?
The CMX 500 Rebel uses that same 471cc parallel twin as the CB 500 Hornet, but tuned differently.
More low-end torque, I assume?
Yeah, makes about 45 horsepower, but the 32 pound-feet of torque comes in lower at 6,000 RPM, designed for that relaxed cruiser feel.
And a key feature for the 500 Rebel is?
The super low seat height, 690 millimeters, that's just about 27 inches, makes it incredibly easy for shorter riders or anyone wanting confidence at stops.
Very accessible. Does it get tech upgrades?
It gets an updated LCD display, not the TFT. Weighs 421 pounds, and it's A2 compatible. It's Honda's entry into the cruiser world.
Okay. Any other interesting Hondas in the sources? Seems like we've covered naked and cruiser.
There are a couple more unique ones listed. The CL500.
CL500 uses the 500cc twin again.
Yes, same 471cc engine. The description mentions stability on and off-road and a flat seat, kind of positioned like a scrambler-style bike. Weighs the same 421 pounds as the Rebel 500, also A2 compatible.
Interesting, a retro scrambler vibe. And there was one more, GB something?
The GB350S. This one's really different. It's got a 348cc air-cooled single-cylinder engine.
Air-cooled single. Proper retro. Power must be modest.
Very. About 21 horsepower. But it makes a useful 21 pound-feet of torque way down low at 3,000 RPM. It's all about character, simplicity, easy riding.
Does it have any modern tech?
Surprisingly, yes. It includes HSTC traction control, full LED lighting, and a stylish analog display with some digital info. Weighs only 392 pounds. Another A2 option focusing on classic style.
Man, Honda really does cover the bases, and the sources even mention their smaller 125cc bikes, right?
They do, just briefly, but it shows the breadth. Bikes like the CB125R, CB125F, the MSX125 Grom, the Monkey 125, DAX 125.
The Grom and the Monkey. Fun little things. What stands out when you see those listed alongside the big bikes? They weigh almost nothing.
Right. Around 100 to 130 kilos. So it's like 220 to 285 pounds. Tiny.
But what's amazing is seeing the tech trickle down.
Exactly. You see things like USD forks, upside-down forks on some of them. Yeah. LED lighting is common, and even advanced ABS systems.
Yeah, the notes mention the CB125R has ABS working with an IMU, an inertial measurement unit.
On a 125cc bike. That's the same kind of sensor tech we were talking about on the nearly $38,000 Ducati.
It's incredible. It really shows how safety and tech features are becoming more accessible across the board.
So stepping back from the individual models, what does looking at this whole diverse landscape, all this data together, actually tell us? What's the big picture here?
Well, first off, the sheer range of choice is staggering, isn't it? From that super premium Ducati down to these efficient little 125s and everything in between.
Absolutely. You can really see how manufacturers are slicing the market, targeting very specific riders and use cases.
And some clear trends emerge when you look across all these sources. One big one is definitely that blending of performance engines with everyday usability.
Right. Taking engines born on the track, like in the Ducati RS, the Suzuki GT Plus L, the Kawasaki SX, and adapting them for the street or touring. It's a common theme.
And the other huge one is electronics. It's just everywhere now.
It really is. TFT screens are almost becoming the norm, even on smaller bikes. Riding modes, traction control, quick shifters, cruise control, phone connectivity.
Yeah, these aren't just flagship features anymore. They're appearing at all sorts of price points and in different categories. Makes bikes safer, more convenient, more adaptable.
We also see how important engine configuration still is. It's not just about displacement.
No, definitely not. Whether it's a V4, an inline-4, a parallel twin, a single, each has such a distinct character.
And the sources show how manufacturers use that. High revving power from the fours, torquey punch from the twins, the relaxed feel of a cruiser twin or a single. It shapes the whole experience.
And even with all the tech, the fundamentals still matter, like weight.
For sure. There's still a focus on weight reduction and agility, trying to keep even the big bikes feeling manageable, like that sub-500-pound target for the performance models.
Or the emphasis on lightness for the middleweights, like the Tracer 7 or the smaller Hornets. People want bikes that feel nimble.
So, Putting all these details from the sources side by side, it really helps you understand what defines a specific bike beyond just its name or category.
Yeah, you see how the combination of the engine, the weight, the suspension, the electronics, how it all sculpts the bike's personality.
You get those aha moments, like that's why the V4 RS feels like a track bike you can tour on, or that's why the Rebel feels so easy to ride off the line, or that's why that middleweight twin feels so lively.
It's the sum of all those engineering choices, laid bare in the specs and reviews.
We've certainly covered an incredible amount of ground today. Just a huge variety of machines.
Yeah, it really showcases the amazing diversity in the motorcycle world right now.
Each bike representing a unique formula, a specific blend of performance, tech, and style.
So thinking about all this vast and diverse range of motorcycles we have just discussed, each with its own distinct recipe, it leaves me wondering, for you, the listener, what single characteristic do you think matters most when finding the right bike for your ride?